Pakistan is set to make history. Almost half of the country's lawmakers are set to resign. 11 opposition parties have joined hands. They've been holding meetings and rallies across Pakistan, denouncing Prime Minister Imran Khan and the military establishment. And now they look set to strike the final blow. Mass resignations across the country. A move that will plunge Pakistan into a constitutional crisis and make Imran Khan's position untenable. He's issuing threats, left, right and centre. What is the army doing? Preparing for life without another puppet prime minister. Instead of securing Pakistan's civilian government, the military is busy securing Chinese investments. Pakistani citizens in the country are suffering. Pakistani citizens outside the country are also suffering. They are paying the price for Imran Khan's politics. On Gravitas tonight, we'll bring you all the details. Also on the show, a 90-year-old grandmother gets a life-saving birthday present. The first British citizen to get a vaccine shot. In Indonesia, no vaccine will be allowed until it gets a halal certificate. Beat that. Meanwhile, China is still trying to tell the world where the virus came from. The latest target is Australia. Remember, China has already blamed America, Italy and India as the source. The champion of protesters, Justin Trudeau, is caught in what is being seen as a potential scam. His government gave away $240 billion in pandemic aid this year, but they won't tell who got the money. And humans have not only found aliens, apparently, they've even contacted them. They're among us. And Israeli scientists' claims have gone viral. We'll discuss. But we begin, as always, with Gravitas Global Headlines.
The United States has imposed new sanctions on 14 Chinese officials over the Hong Kong crackdown, as American leaders across the political spectrum expressed their outrage over Beijing's moves, as the House of Representatives voted to welcome Hong Kong residents to live temporarily in the United States. Indian Army Chief General M.M. Naravane has embarked on a week-long visit to the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. This is the first ever trip by an army chief to both West Asian states and is expected to significantly boost security ties. The United States has approved a $280 million sale of advanced military communications equipment to Taiwan. Taiwan's government has welcomed the announcement, saying the move showed Washington was honoring its commitment to help strengthen the island's defense capabilities. An inquiry report on the 2019 Christchurch mosque shootings in New Zealand, in which 51 Muslim worshippers were killed, says that security services did not focus enough on the threat from right-wing terror. The 800-page report says spy agencies had placed inappropriate focus on Islamist extremism before the attack. Japan will compile a fresh stimulus package worth 73.6 trillion yen, or $708 billion, in order to speed up economic recovery. The country is targeting investment in areas like green and digital innovation. France has confirmed a severe bird flu outbreak at a duck farm in the southwest. 6,000 ducks at the farm have now been culled. A member of Abu Dhabi's ruling family has bought a 50% stake in Israeli football club Beitar Jerusalem.
An Emirati has bought Beitar Yerushalayim, which is one of our well-known soccer teams.
This comes after the establishment of formal diplomatic relations in Israel and the UAE, which has led to a series of business deals. In October, the UAE and Israeli football leagues had signed a memorandum of understanding to boost cooperation. Nepal and China have jointly announced the revised height of Mount Everest. The height of the world's highest peak has now increased by 0.86 meters. Australia have avoided a whitewash in the three-match T20 Internationals series against India with a 12-run victory in Sydney. Matthew Wade made 80 and Glenn Maxwell also hit a half-century as the Aussies posted 186 for 5. A 74-run stand between Shikhar Dhawan and captain Virat Kohli had set India up nicely in the chase. But Mitchell Swepson picked up 3 wickets at key moments to restrict the Indians to 174 for 7. Defeat ends India's 10-match winning streak in the format. The International Olympic Committee has banned Belarus and barred its president Alexander Lukashenko from attending the 2021 Tokyo Games. It comes after multiple complaints from athletes and officials in Belarus that they had been beaten up, tortured and discriminated for taking part in protests. Lukashenko claims to have won a disputed election in August, which international observers say was rigged. He also serves as the head of Belarus National Olympic Committee.
Pakistan is synonymous with chaos, but what it faces now is spectacular even by its own poor standards. Almost 50% of its parliament is set to resign, 5-0. These are opposition leaders mulling mass resignation. The Pakistan Democratic Movement is an alliance of 11 opposition parties, and their mass exit might trigger a constitutional crisis in the middle of a pandemic. A meeting of opposition leaders was held today. It went on for hours. Sources tell us the opposition remains united. They're all ready to resign. The details and specifics are still being worked out, though. Here is what happened in the run-up to today's meeting. Maryam Nawaz of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz has been at the forefront of this. She told her party leaders, and I'm quoting here, "If we call for resignations from the assemblies, you must be willing to stand by us. Do not fall under any pressure." Maryam Nawaz said this to provincial and National Assembly members of her party. She was addressing them. And if her Twitter account is anything to go by, these leaders have heeded her call. Elected members of the PMLN, that is her party, at the provincial level, have begun handing in their resignations. Maryam Nawaz has made the same appeal to leaders of other opposition parties as well. And if all of them walk the talk, Pakistan will witness an unprecedented situation, with more than half the legislators from across the country resigning in protest against the Prime Minister. Can there be a bigger no-confidence vote against a sitting PM? The campaign against Imran Khan has been gaining momentum for months now. Massive rallies have been held around the country. Leaders like Maryam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto Zardari have been leading these rallies, or jalsas as they call them, with speeches critical of the Imran Khan government and the military establishment. Another major rally is scheduled on the 13th of December. That's the coming Sunday. This is at Lahore's Minar-e-Pakistan. The Prime Minister is trying to stop this campaign. His government has refused permission to hold the rally. Imran Khan says the police will book everyone involved. And by everyone, he means not just political leaders and party workers who attend. He promised that he will not spare even the caterer who supplies chairs for this meeting, or those who install mics and speakers at the venue. They will all be booked. The kind of threats that can only be issued in Pakistan. So why is Imran Khan so worked up about this one rally? Because the opposition in Pakistan has joined hands like never before. The Sharifs and the Bhutto Zardaris, the leaders whom Imran Khan put behind bars, they've now closed ranks against him. Imran Khan's only hope is the military that is said to have selected him for the Prime Minister's job. But the military too seems to be gearing up for a shift. Well, they have largely and now openly taken control of the civilian government. And now they want to control Chinese investments in Pakistan to secure China's interests, even if the civilian government collapses. So the Pakistan Army has set its sights on the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or the CPEC. Later this month, a bill is supposed to hit the floor of the Pakistan Parliament, or whatever is left of it by then. It is called the CPEC Authority Bill, a law that would put a powerful body led by the military in charge of CPEC. What will this bill change? Official control. So right now, CPEC projects are controlled by the Planning and Development Ministry of Pakistan, at least on paper. After the bill is passed, these Chinese projects will be controlled by the CPEC Authority, the same authority that is headed by retired Army General Asim Salim Bajwa, the infamous Pizza General, the man who had to leave the Pakistan government on charges of corruption. This bill is likely to be brought before the Parliament in the second week of December. The idea is very simple. Eliminate the government from all projects related to China. General Bajwa will replace the planning minister as the co-chair of a Pakistan-China joint committee. So here's a question. The army anyway controls everything in Pakistan pretty much. Why does it need these changes? This is to appease the Chinese. They've been unhappy over the progress of CPEC projects, so the Pakistani military is making amends. The military will now officially handle Chinese investments in Pakistan. It's something that China demanded way back in 2016. So the writing is on the wall for Imran Khan. The opposition is gunning for him, and the military will not think twice before disposing of him. What about the citizens of Pakistan? Well, they have no say in these decisions, but their misery under the Imran Khan government is evident. Not just for those who live in the country, but also for those working overseas. The Prime Minister's Islamic power play has hurt Pakistanis outside, especially in the Gulf. Imran Khan joined the Islamic alliance with Malaysia and Turkey, falling out of favor with the Gulf powers. Our next report tells you how Pakistanis are paying the price for this.
As a cricketer, Imran Khan was Pakistan's biggest global ambassador. As Prime Minister, he may be proving to be the biggest embarrassment, stumbling his way from one diplomatic disaster to the next. Feeling the brunt are Pakistanis, both at home and abroad. He went against the Gulf powers, joined hands with Turkey and Malaysia. Now, overseas, Pakistanis are paying the price for it. Last month, the UAE stopped issuing visas to 13 Muslim countries. The list includes Pakistan. For Pakistani laborers, this was a punch in the gut. They lost their employment. The Pakistan government has also suffered some losses. Remittances were already falling. In July, Pakistan expected a drop of 10% in remittances from the UAE. Now that drop will be much higher. And to rub salt on the wound, Indians are benefiting from the ban on Pakistanis. Reports say a recruitment agency in Rawalpindi alone lost 3,000 openings to India. It's a triple whammy for Imran Khan. While the ban is temporary, Pakistan is out of the good graces of the Gulf states. The reason is Imran Khan's call to join Turkey and Malaysia, the new Muslim axis that challenges traditional Muslim powers like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. After repeated warnings, the Gulf powers dumped Pakistan. By April, more than 21,000 Pakistani expats in Gulf states were laid off. In November, that number grew to 50,000. 50,000 more workers returned to Pakistan on paid or unpaid leave. Their jobs are on the line. Pakistan has lost the plot. It may be too late to salvage the relationship. Gulf countries are moving closer to new allies. The UAE and Bahrain recently established diplomatic ties with Israel. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar recently traveled to these countries too, signaling a visible realignment. Later this month, Jaishankar will travel to Qatar and Kuwait, while his deputy will pay a visit to Oman. The Indian Army Chief, M.M. Naravane, kicked off his visit to Saudi Arabia and the UAE today. As India's ties to the Gulf deepen, Pakistan is being dumped. The Pakistanis have lost jobs, their livelihoods, and a key source of income. And they only have Imran Khan to blame. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Naya Pakistan is turning out to be a nightmare. It has taken the shape of a state, failed and adrift. It does not know where to go, how to go, and why it's going there at all. For all his tall promises of a new era, Imran Khan has only taken his country backwards. In the next few minutes, we will take you through the creeping failures that define this Naya Pakistan. I'll start with the economy. It's in the doldrums, to say the least, plunging to new lows every day with inflation at an all-time high. At the beginning of this year, Pakistan witnessed a 12-year high inflation at 14.6%. That's among the highest in the world. Food prices are spiraling out of control. In October, food inflation was at 16.6%. The Pakistan government has gone on a panic buying spree to bring down prices. The Pakistani currency has weakened. At 160 Pakistani rupees to a dollar, it has become one of the worst performing currencies in the region. The total public debt has ballooned. It has increased by 11 trillion rupees. Let that sink in. 11 trillion rupees, a total of 36.3 trillion in the 2 years that Imran Khan has been Prime Minister. 36.3 trillion. That's 87% of Pakistan's total GDP. Then there are international loans. They're piling up. Islamabad is still turning to foreign banks to meet its balance of payments. In the latest instance, the Asian Development Bank has approved a loan of $300 million to Islamabad. This is in addition to $1.3 billion that Pakistan borrowed from the IMF in April this year, which again was in addition to a $6 billion loan it got from the IMF in July last year, and the many, many loans that Imran Khan's predecessors have borrowed before him. Pakistan's economy is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Unemployment has zoomed. According to the World Economic Forum, the youth unemployment rate in Pakistan stands at 8.5%. This is a country where 64% of the population is below the age of 30. A staggering number of young people in Pakistan do not have jobs. What about healthcare? Going from bad to worse. According to Pakistan's National Command Operations Center, 10,300 healthcare professionals have been infected during this pandemic. At least 100 have lost their life to the virus from China. And there's also a severe shortage of oxygen in hospitals in Pakistan. In the city of Peshawar, for instance, at least 6 patients lost their life due to oxygen shortage. More than 200 patients were on a curtailed oxygen supply for hours. And let's not even talk about corruption. It has become institutionalized in Pakistan. I can give you 2 latest examples. The Bus Rapid Transit Project, BRT, and the Billion Tree Tsunami Project. 2 mega projects, the brainchild of Imran Khan. They're now scams. A report by Pakistan's Auditor General has revealed financial irregularities of up to 2.77 billion Pakistani rupees in the BRT project, Bus Rapid Transport. And the Billion Tree Tsunami Project is facing a probe for embezzlement of funds and misuse of authority. Remember, Imran Khan promised a tsunami of trees across the country. Well, that money has been spent, but there are no trees to show for it. All that is left is a hole in the public exchequer's purse, a loss of more than 400 million Pakistani rupees. Naya Pakistan is riddled with the same old problems, perhaps worse. Imran Khan has failed, much like his predecessors. Pakistan remains what it was. The politicians are embroiled in corruption. The elites are exploiting the masses. The clerics are radicalizing them. The army is taking control and the cash. Terrorism has become a means of survival. The people of Pakistan are barely managing to survive. It's the 8th of December. The United Kingdom is celebrating this day as V-Day. It has become the first Western country to start a mass vaccination program. The Wuhan virus vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech is being rolled out to British citizens as we speak. At 6:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, a 90-year-old grandmother became the world's first person to receive this vaccine. Who is the next in line? What are the sentiments on ground? And what is India doing to get a hold of this vaccine? Our next report has everything you want to know.
I thought it was a joke, to tell you the truth, to start with. I couldn't believe it, but I'm happy it's happened. And now I've done it, and hopefully it'll help other people to come along and do as I did, try and do the best to get rid of this terrible thing.
90-year-old grandmother Margaret Keenan has become the first person in the world to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine shot. Staff at the NHS hospital in Coventry received her with a thunderous applause as she stepped out of the ward. For Margaret, who turns 91 next week, the vaccine is by far the best birthday gift in her lifetime.
It hasn't sunk in yet. I can't really answer that question yet. It's just really, I don't know what to say. It's just overwhelming, I suppose, really. Yeah.
It is indeed an overwhelming moment. A watershed in the fight against the Wuhan virus. Britain has begun rolling out the vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. It's the first Western country to start vaccinating its general population. The British government is hoping to turn the tide and tail off the second wave of infections.
Across the whole of the UK this morning, that is happening in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales, in England. People are having the vaccine for the first time, and it will gradually make a huge, huge difference.
Navy, sir. All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah. The news of the vaccine rollout has prompted relief, even a sense of celebration.
Thank you very much. I tell you what, you've made history today. You're the first person that we've vaccinated in Bristol.
What?
The first person that we have vaccinated in Bristol.
In Bristol?
That's you, yeah.
Oh!
The Pfizer vaccine has proven to be 95% effective in trials. In other words, it can prevent 95% of the people from getting the virus. The British government has ordered 40 million doses, enough for 20 million people out of the UK's 68 million plus population. The vaccine shots will be given out in 2 doses within a gap of 21 days. Priority is being given to the elderly. Phase 1 of the vaccine rollout mostly covers people who are 80 years and above. But where will these shots be available? UK's Health Secretary Matt Hancock has laid out 3 modes of delivery.
Yeah, so basically...
the first is hospitals themselves, which of course have got facilities like this, and 50 hospitals across the country are already set up and waiting to receive the vaccine, as soon as it's approved, so that can now happen. And then there'll also be vaccination centres, and then there'll also be a community rollout, including GPs and pharmacists.
As the vaccination process begins, emotions are running high. For many Britons, this is the beginning of the end of the pandemic.
I feel ecstatic. I can't wait for 2021. Bring it on. Yeah. So I'm so excited. Life hopefully will resume as normal.
Oh yes, I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
There's hope. We've got a bit of hope now. So, yeah, let's have a go at it. Get cracking.
Across the world too, many are breathing a sigh of relief. In India, stocks climbed to a record high. India is the second worst hit country by the pandemic. the government is accelerating its review of vaccines developed by Pfizer and AstraZeneca. Reports indicate that Pfizer is already in talks with the Drug Controller General of India DGCI for an emergency authorization of its vaccine. After 10 months of turmoil, there's finally hope on the horizon. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
There is indeed hope. And as countries around the world get ready to review, approve and administer Wuhan virus vaccines, Indonesia is facing a peculiar problem. The country expects all vaccines to be halal certified. You heard that right. What they want is that the vaccine not contain any ingredient that Islam does not permit its followers to consume, like pork or alcohol. Now here's the twist in the tale. Of the 155 plus Wuhan virus shots being developed the world over, none have given any indication that they would be halal certified. Here's a report.
What must you keep in mind when developing a vaccine? The shot needs to be effective. It must guarantee no side effects. It should be affordable, transportable, and have a good shelf life. In Indonesia, the checklist does not end there. The world's most populous Muslim country expects a vaccine to be halal certified. No exemption whatsoever is being made for a Wuhan virus shot.
Walaupun vaksin sudah datang dan berada di Indonesia,
the implementation of vaccination still has to go through evaluation phases by the Food and Drug Agency to ensure quality, safety and effectiveness. In addition, it has to obtain halal fatwa from the Ulema Council.
Menunggu fatwa MUI untuk aspek kehalalannya.
Any food or drink that a Muslim is allowed to consume is termed halal. Haram is what's forbidden. Pork and its byproducts, for example, are haram. Alcohol too falls under that category. In 2014, Indonesia passed a law on halal product guarantee. Law number 33 makes halal certification mandatory for all food, beverage, medicines and cosmetics sold in Indonesia. But many medicines use pig products. Gelatin, enzyme trypsin, for example. Most medicines sold in Indonesia are imported. Those made at home import 95% of their raw materials. How do you audit the halal status in a situation like this? Indonesia is the world's fourth most populous country. Immunization of 270 million people against the Wuhan virus is in itself a challenge. Jakarta is relying on various vaccine makers for the immunization drive. Indonesia received 1.2 million doses of China's Sinovac. China has promised a total of 50 million doses. AstraZeneca has also committed 100 million. Jakarta is reportedly in talks with Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson and CanSino for more vaccine shots. But what if they fail the halal test? Can Indonesia afford to say no to them? The government of Prime Minister Joko Widodo seems to have its hands tied. They fear that Indonesia's hardline clerics could issue a fatwa against Wuhan virus vaccines. The fear is not unfounded. In 2018, Indonesia's Ulema Council declared that the rubella and measles vaccine was haram. Why? Because it contained pig byproducts. The number of children vaccinated against rubella and measles dropped post the announcement. If history repeats itself in the middle of the Wuhan virus pandemic, the result could be disastrous. For now, Widodo is safe. Reports say the Ulema Council is set to issue a halal certificate to China's Sinovac. But we must point out that the Made in China shot has not completed phase 3 trials. So the halal certified vaccination will have to wait. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In the past 2 weeks, Justin Trudeau has tried to portray himself as a champion of protesters, the farmers in India. The Canadian Prime Minister has meddled in India's internal affairs twice. On both occasions, he said a lot. But now Justin Trudeau has gone silent. Fingers are being raised at his own government. The government of Justin Trudeau spent billions of dollars of public funds in the name of pandemic aid, but there's no accountability. The Trudeau government refuses to say who got this money, and we're not talking about a small sum. We are talking about $240 billion here, $240 billion. The investigation has been carried out by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, or CBC, the National Public Broadcaster of Canada. They have been probing how the Trudeau government distributed financial aid during this pandemic. According to this report, $240 billion have been distributed, but no one knows who got this money. Here is what the report says. The Canadian government has launched more than 100 programs since the pandemic began, but only a few departments have released details of how they're spending this money. There are no details of the individuals, groups or companies which have received government funds. CBC tried to gather this information, but some government departments have been fighting the broadcaster, quote-unquote, tooth and nail. The Trudeau government is denying them this information. In other words, billions of dollars have been spent from the public exchequer. The question is, where has this money gone? And the answer is the government's silence. Does it sound like a scam? The Canadian press is not calling it a scam just yet. They're still investigating the programs, but big numbers are being thrown up. Listen to this. More than $16 billion was given to government agencies and departments. The Canadian government expects to hand out more money. Like I said, $240 billion has been given out so far. By March next year, the Trudeau government could spend well over $300 billion. Let me give you one figure that shows how big this relief program is. The Trudeau government has been spending, on average, $40 million every hour, $40 million every hour since March this year. The money has gone in all directions. It has been spent on personal protection kits. It has gone towards supporting those who've lost their jobs. It has even been given to businesses to help them survive, and that's where it gets murky. According to reports, the Trudeau government has not shared which businesses got this money and how much. What about oversight? Doesn't Canada have a system to keep government spending in check? What about the Canadian Parliament? Canada's House of Commons has committees to investigate government spending programs. And quite conveniently, they are just not available to investigate right now. The Parliamentary Finance Committee has been disbanded. The spending without accountability spells trouble for Canada because the country's borrowing is at a record high. The Justin Trudeau government wants to borrow more money. Reports say a bill is being planned to raise Canada's debt ceiling to $1.4 trillion. This will be an increase of 57%. So the Trudeau government could borrow well over $1 trillion. Maybe it wants to spend its way out of this pandemic and the economic recession it has created. But the question we started with still remains. Where is this money going? Who is getting it and how much? Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is so busy supporting protesters in faraway countries, he seems to not have found time to answer these questions. We're going to take a very short break here on Gravitas. We'll be right back.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda Superb, best in next class. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
WION now available in the United States. Download the app now.
From the world's most volatile region, conflicts over faith and boundaries. Stories of death, destruction, despair, and hope. WION brings you to the heart of the action. Incisive analysis, unrivaled perspective, and exclusive ground reports. Watch West Asia Post every Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST with me, Radi Francis. Only on WION, World is One.
One World Trade Center, that is the one where the impact.
The cause of India's freedom for many years.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Work in progress.
Reporting from the line of fire is about instinct. It's about sensing the hostility and standing your ground for a bit longer. It's not a story of courage, but a revelation of the disguised. So you see what others can't. WION Ground Report, the edge of reportage.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda Superb, best in next class. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Now let me give you a list. The United States, Italy, India. What do these three countries have in common? They've all been victims of China's conspiracy theories regarding the origins of the virus. China has blamed all of these three countries for causing this pandemic on different occasions. And now it has found a new target, Australia. The Chinese state media is suggesting that Australian imports at the Hunan wet market could have brought this virus to China. Here's more.
The news of the Pfizer vaccine rollout in the UK has cheered sentiments across the world. It could spell the end of this pandemic. But nearly a year after the virus started wreaking havoc in every part of the world, there is still no clarity on its origins. The answer is obvious. The writing is on the wall. But the WHO is dragging its feet. Its probe into the virus's origins is yet to yield any results. In fact, it's yet to begin in earnest.
Epidemiological studies will begin in Wuhan to identify the potential source of infection of the early cases. Evidence and hypotheses generated through this work will lay the ground for further longer-term studies.
The lack of sincerity on the health body's part has given a free run to Chinese propagandists. First, they blamed American soldiers for bringing the virus to Wuhan, then they blamed Italy as the source, and then they named countries like India as the origin of the virus. The so-called scientists from India who made the claim have since retracted their study report. In the meantime, the Chinese state media has found a new target: Australia. On Sunday, China's mouthpiece Global Times released this so-called investigative report. The report suggested that the first cases in China could have been a result of cold chain storage imports from down under. The Global Times says that stores in the Huanan seafood market sold imported cold chain seafood before 2019. Among the imported items was Australian steak. While the report maintained that there was not enough evidence, the Australia mention is making international headlines. It could trigger another diplomatic firestorm between the two countries. Beijing and Canberra are currently engaged in a conflict on multiple fronts. There's a fierce face-off over Australia's pursuit of an investigation into COVID-19 origins.
We did in no way ask for confrontation. It was an investigation that we asked for.
There's a diplomatic spat over China's crackdown on Australian citizens. A bitter war of words over a Twitter post about the Australian army, and a dispute over Chinese sanctions on Australian wine. Relations between Australia and China have hit rock bottom. The tensions have reached the tipping point. Now, by suggesting that Australia could be behind the pandemic, the Chinese regime may have hit the final nail in the coffin of bilateral ties. Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
Let's talk about something that's doing the rounds on social media. Reports say Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei may have transferred powers to his son. Why did he do that? Because of his declining ill health, we're told. A Twitter thread has got the world talking. On the 5th of December, a journalist from Iran made 3 huge claims. 1. Khamenei's power and duties have been transferred to his son, Mojtaba. 2. Khamenei had to cancel a recent meeting with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani because of his poor health. And 3. The Iranian Supreme Leader has prostate cancer. The Iranian news agency has denied the claims of power transfer, and WION has not been able to independently verify them either. But here's something we can tell you. The Supreme Leader is the be-all and end-all of Iran. So if the claim of the Ayatollah transferring powers to his son is indeed true, then it's nothing short of a seismic change in Iran. And to understand why, we must take a look at the role of the Ayatollah in Iran and also revisit what this one, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has stood for. Here's a report.
Iran's constitution institutionalizes rule by Islamic clerics. Khomeini is Iran's second Ayatollah. Ayatollah means the sign of God. Over the years, it has become synonymous to dictatorship in Iran. Ayatollah Ali Khomeini is Iran's spiritual head and has the final say in everything that happens in the country. He has made Iran the center of Shia theology and has molded the country into what it looks like today.
Your Majesties, Your Excellencies.
Khomeini is against free elections and open press. He has weakened Iran's presidency, invested Iran's Revolutionary Guard with all the power it has today. It was Khomeini who decided to pursue a nuclear energy program. He has always been suspicious of the West in general and the United States in particular. In the late 90s, Khomeini blocked then-President Mohammad Khatami's push for détente with the West. He did not oppose the 2015 nuclear deal, but criticized President Rouhani for expecting that Washington would uphold it.
Mr. President, how does this make America safer?
When Trump's America withdrew from the deal 3 years later, the Ayatollah remarked, "I said from the first day, do not trust America." Iran's deceased General Qasem Soleimani was Khomeini's close friend. He has promised severe revenge for Soleimani's assassination. Khomeini believes Israel should be eliminated. Cancerous tumor is what he calls the country. The Ayatollah also questions the reality of the Holocaust. In the past, he has issued fatwa against author Salman Rushdie. And very recently, he played down the Wuhan virus. It's not something extraordinary, the Islamic scholar said. In short, Ayatollah Ali Khomeini stands for conservatism, hardline politics, and the legitimization of clerical rule based on Shiite thought. Khomeini has monopolized the interpretation of the Islamic law and has committed to maintaining clerical rule in Iran, one that was ushered in by his predecessor. Iran's first Ayatollah, Ruhollah Khomeini, a man known for his focus on Islamic tradition and rejection of Western ideas. The two men get the credit for making Iran one of the most powerful and unpredictable nation in its neighborhood. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Switch off your intelligence and drop your sanity, for this is the wildest story you will hear today. And listen to this carefully. Once upon a time, Donald Trump was ready to tell the world that aliens exist. Hell broke loose and the aliens intervened. They told the US president to resist. So why did Trump listen to the ET? Because the two have signed a treaty. And guess what? Israel was also party to this. Says who? Meet Haim Eshed. Reports claim he was once the head of Israel's space security program. The man recently gave an interview to an Israeli newspaper. What he said was out of the world, quite literally. He said aliens not only exist, but have also made contact with humanity. That should be great news. So where exactly are these aliens? Eshed told the newspaper that aliens are hiding among us. Sure they are. I could name a few, but never mind that. Why are these aliens hiding? Because humanity is not ready yet. I must remind you that we are not making any of this up. These are the words of a man who was the head of Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. He's retired now and has decided to share a well-kept secret with the world. He says aliens do not want to start mass hysteria. So the kind creatures are waiting before they can come out in the open. They are waiting for humanity to evolve, to quote-unquote understand what space and spaceships are. Let me quote some more from Eshed's interview. There's an agreement between the US government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. And they too are researching and trying to understand the whole fabric of the universe, and they want us as helpers. This man is 87 years old, and I'm not an ageist. And his sci-fi story is not over. The plot shifts to the depth of Mars next. He claims there is an underground base there on Mars. Guess who is stationed at the depth of Mars? Aliens and American representatives. The same United States that has not been able to set foot on the moon since 1972 has already set up a base on Mars, apparently. So why is Haim Eshed telling all of this to the world now? The retired scientist says, and I'm quoting again, if I had come up with what I'm saying today, 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Well, those 5 years have passed. A visit to a hospital may not be such a bad idea even now. We wish him speedy recovery and we thank him for a good story. And if you like it, here's a reading suggestion. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, the best book ever on aliens and humans. And with that, it's a wrap. We're leaving you as always with Gravitas images. Thanks very much for watching.